Welcome back, friends. Welcome back. Scotty Boy here at the Home Away from Home pilot here in Ohio. Told y'all that I would do at least one more video before I go. And here it is. Although I was thinking about it this morning, trying to think of, what would be a good topic to talk about today. And I'm kind of, to be honest, just by virtue of where I am in the journey, I'm kind of at a holding pattern and don't have a whole lot more to talk about in this phase. Not worried about the future as far as content. As soon as I start my upgrade, I get back to Springfield, I'll have a wealth of new stuff to talk about, for that, the solo career and the upgrade and all that. But right now, I'm sitting here, I'm at somewhere in the realm of 35, 36,000. I've got my miles, just really waiting to be called in, to Springfield for upgrade. And that could come anytime. We got a load dropping off today in Pennsylvania. Maybe the next trip is Springfield, maybe not. Maybe we got another load or two to go. So it literally could come in any time. And like I mentioned yesterday, I'm not sweating it. Every minute that I'm on this truck, while I'm ready for the next phase, I will take it and be happy when it comes. I'm going to make the best of this because every minute I'm here, I'm learning, and it takes a little pressure off, the solo career that, is coming with some anxiety, which I think everybody has coming out of TNT. So, there was a couple ideas that I had for this episode. One was doing just a recap, since I've increased my subscribers roughly, I think something like 250 since TNT, which is remarkable because, I thought it would go down during TNT. I have not been able, admittedly, not been able to put out the kind of content that I want. So, thank you again for those of you that have found me and stuck with me. Both ones that were from the beginning and my new subscribers. I really appreciate every last one of you. So I was thinking I would do maybe a recap, start from the beginning, just give the Cliff Notes version for those of you that are enjoying the channel now but don't necessarily want to march through my whole video timeline, which I think I'm going to do, but I'm going to hold on to that. I think I'm going to do that when I get back to Springfield, when I can, just kind of give it some thought and really get through it in a methodical and efficient manner. More than I can just kind of on the fly today. The other topic was weight loss. I've mentioned all along the way that I have lost weight while being out here, a considerable amount. But I haven't really gone into, maybe my weight loss arc of how I got in bad shape and what I'm doing now to lose the weight. But I want to start, and that's what I'm going to do, but I'm going to start with a disclaimer. And I mean this as a disclaimer. Nothing of what I'm going to say about my weight loss should be construed as advice. I am the first to admit I'm losing weight, but I do not think I'm doing so in the healthiest way possible. It's just kind of virtue of the circumstances I'm in, the pattern that I've kind of fallen into, which I'm losing a great deal of weight. But again, if I were to tell someone, a healthy way to lose weight, it would not be the way I'm doing it right now. But for whatever it's worth, I am losing weight. I can at least show that it's possible out here. I know a lot of people worry about the truck stop food and things like that, and the temptation and all that kind of stuff. It's certainly possible to lose weight out here. I am testament to that. So I'm going to try to move through this as quickly as I can. No promises on how long the video is, because I do run long usually. But I thought, rather than just jump into the weight loss piece, I want to kind of do an exercise. We'll call it Build a Fat Guy. And what I want to do is kind of go through my arc of health and then talk about the weight loss piece. Now, I grew up, I was very, very healthy. I was an athlete up until about my second year of college. In high school, I played nearly every sport that, didn't overlap. I was an all-district free safety and running back on the football team. I played basketball, little baseball, did track and field, soccer. And I was actually recruited to a small school, but it was always a nationally ranked NCAA level soccer team. Anyway, so super athlete. Although I guess the first pitfall in that era is that when you're an athlete like that, you can burn whatever you eat. I mean, you can eat ridiculous amounts of food and you can burn it off. So I would say if there was anything in that period that might have started to head towards an unhealthy rest of your life. It's that some athletes don't learn how to eat like a normal person. You know, you learn to eat that, you know, large size #1 at any fast food restaurant and tack on maybe an extra sandwich, and it did nothing to you. It just incinerated as soon as it hit the gut. You know, you never had to worry about it. So maybe that's the first piece. I am one of the few people that can actually pinpoint to the minute when I started gaining weight, and that was I played soccer, college level, very competitive soccer, and honestly, it was a little too competitive for me. I got to that level, and it was zero fun. It was all business, all work, misery, for me at least. And there came a day when I marched into the office and thanked my coach, thank you for the opportunity, but this just isn't for me. And I proceeded to walk out the doors, round the corner, went to the fraternity house that I was pledging at the time, and they tossed me a beer and a slice of pizza, and that was all she wrote. I started gaining weight right there on that regimen, which pretty much lasted, we'll say, more than 4 years, but I'm not going to go into detail on that. I also stuck around after graduation for a while. All right, so from there, started gaining weight, not a ton. I wasn't super heavy when I left college, but I didn't jump into my field, which is psychology. I got a bachelor's degree in psychology. I didn't jump right into my field right away. At that about time, my dad was opening, at that time, 1 Subway restaurant, but it turned into 2 Subway restaurants after a couple of years, and I wanted to help out. You know, it was intended to just be a little short period of time, but as life happens, I was the general manager of 2 Subway restaurants for, I think it was about 8 or 9 years. Don't recommend it. I hated that lifestyle. It was not fun. But, you know, and back then, you know, this was the Jared years, and the slogan, I think, was 7 under 6. They had all the, you know, the healthy sandwiches, you know, that you can get as long as you don't put mayonnaise or cheese on it. You can stay under 300 calories for a 6-inch and 600 for a foot long. But you tell me, most of y'all, if you're a normal human being, if you have access to the other side of the Subway counter, free to put whatever you want on it, it's no cost every day, how often are you going to opt for a no mayonnaise turkey sandwich on wheat bread? I'll let you answer that to yourself. I was not that strong. I ended up eating the double steak and cheese, or you know, whatever else. Although at times I did kind of go on a Subway regimen, and you can lose weight, you know, doing the 7 under 6, but it didn't stay off. Okay, Subway. Eventually we closed the Subways. We'd had enough, and I jumped into my field, which was basically the start of about 16 or 17 years of desk work. You know, very, very high stress desk work, increasing over the years, you know. And the last job that I had before moving to trucking, I was on the leadership team of every state, I think, has them. They call them different things. In our state, it's called the Community Services Board. It's your local government mental health, developmental disabilities, substance abuse type programs. And I had risen through the ranks, and I was on the leadership team. I was the director of quality assurance, and for the last 6 years or so, maybe actually probably longer than that, 7 or 8 maybe, I had built up enough trust that they let me work from home. So it was not just desk job, it was desk job very close to my own kitchen that had everything that, you know, I eat on a regular basis that I like and love, and that was also disaster. So you can kind of see the pattern building here. You know, you would have had to have been a pretty darn strong individual to maintain through that. Now, what I want to say though, and it feeds into the weight loss. I think the leading factor in the weight loss that's happened during my training has been the stress piece, and I do believe that this will carry over. I've talked about the former job. It's the big reason why, one of several reasons why I came to trucking and left my job. The stress involved with the job I had, I've talked about it in terms of a scale to 1 to 10, never dropped below 6. And I mean on weekends and holidays, at no moment during the year was I not revving at a 6 stress level. And it spiked up from there, you know, any given day. It was a highly stressful job. A lot of which, and I'm not going to get political, but you know, when you're working for a community mental health, you're working with Medicaid, and my job at the agency was to be the liaison with Medicaid and government oversight and all that. And as you can see, the country, the way it's going, government is rather large right now, and putting the foot on the neck of a lot of people. And that I was feeling that, among other things. I may go into, like I said in the recap, I'll go into the other reasons, but high stress. Now, people cope with stress different ways, but they medicate usually in some way. Some people drugs and alcohol. Some people have healthy outlets. They jog, they do that kind of stuff. That's great. But other people, like me, medicate with food. A large meal at McDonald's gives you 5 minutes of bliss, happiness, and you'll take it, And what I found was it almost felt like autopilot. It's kind of like the shark with the eyes rolling back in their head when they're feasting. You almost don't remember deciding that you're going to go to McDonald's. It's just almost like autopilot. You're stressed out, having a rough day, and boom, you find yourself at the drive-thru. And that was in large part, my life, and the later years, especially during COVID. Everybody was home, and anyway, I started gaining even more. So the stress level for me is the leading reason, I think, why I gained at the rate I did in the last year or two or 5 or whatever. Moving into trucking, I knew going into trucking, I know the pitfalls. I understand that life is at truck stops a lot of the time, and there's all kinds of temptation in those places. And I knew that eventually when I hit solo, I would have to figure that out, or I'll be a dead man in no time. I'll even say at the time I started at Prime, I was 374, something like that. Big dude, not the biggest I've seen, and I don't mean that as a dig on anybody. I've seen folks that are much bigger than I was, and I truly feel for them. I hope maybe there's a few of you out there that might take a little nugget of what I'm giving here to heart, and hopefully make things easier on you, because I know how much I was hurting, when I first got here, and I can't imagine what some of you guys are going through. So nothing but love. I hope this helps in some way. But anyway, I didn't come to Campus Inn that first day looking to start dieting or anything like that. I just wanted to get through training, and then we'll figure out what life on the road will be. However, what I found was, and I'll say at the time I left home, I was having trouble walking. I was knee pain, terrible sciatic back pain. I had this thing, maybe some of y'all have heard of. It's called the piriformis muscle. It's a little muscle about this big that wraps around the hip, and the sciatica in different people actually wraps over, under, or through, and it's kind of a tandem pain with your sciatica. If you have sciatica, you probably have this other, if you ever feel the knives in the side of your hips when you're walking, I had that too. And I was really, that was my life when I was home. If we went to a place like Busch Gardens, you saw the thing. I was always, it was a like almost panic attack. Wherever I was walking, I was looking for the next available bench. Sad, and I fully admit that it had gotten bad. So I could barely move, really. My life was work to couch and couch to bed. That was it. And we would do things, but it would be everything. Going into Walmart, whatever. If it involved walking, it was going to be pain. If it involved just standing, it was going to be severe pain. So kind of a sense of anxiety there. But anyway, got to Campus Inn, and thankfully I got in a room that was the furthest building from Campus Inn. And, Campus Inn, there's a front office building where all the classrooms and the cafeteria are, and then there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 or 6, your standard hotel type buildings, and mine was the very furthest. I'm not talking miles here. I'm talking not a huge walk, but for me, it was longer than I'm used to, and it forced me, when I'm going to class, if I wanted to eat, it forced me to go out into freezing cold weather and walk that distance, several times a day usually. And that was enough to kind of kick off this, My legs started getting stronger. It was carrying the weight that I was holding, better. So eventually the piriformis and the sciatica started to subside a little bit. I was still, even at the end of PSD, and also getting up and down the steps to these trucks, strengthened my legs incredibly. So over the course of PSD, I lost 14 pounds. It was the walking, but I also just started eating a little more reasonably. I tried to have at least one salad a day, and sometimes that was all I had. Sometimes I just didn't want the pain and I skipped a meal. Again, disclaimer, I'm not saying this is the best, healthiest way to lose weight, but I skipped several meals. I just wasn't up for it. I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna wait till the next meal, So fast forward to TNT. Now that's a different animal altogether. I think if you've watched a lot of trucker YouTube, I think just about every seasoned, probably most truckers, but I'll just go in the primeinc YouTube sphere of people that have been doing YouTube. Most of them have some kind of very unfortunate but very funny poop episode to talk about. Where you have the rumblings and you either make it or you don't to a bathroom. There's a lot of episodes like that, and they're usually very funny, but at the time I'm sure it wasn't. And I'm trying my best not to have that kind of episode. It's the one episode I could do without. So I kind of came into TNT. It wasn't about weight loss. It was about gastrointestinal efficiency. I wanted to stay away from anything greasy, anything that was gonna, that isn't gonna digest well. I also lessened my fluid intake. I'm switched from sodas almost totally to water now, but I'm sipping on water. You're kind of rationing it out through the day. So that was my goal. I don't want to be telling my trainer every 2 hours I got to go to the bathroom, and that's worked. I've stayed away from the greasy, really bad for you food, not for losing weight, but because I really don't want to have that episode where I got to tell you, boy, something bad happened today. So that's kind of the start of that. The other piece is the rotational nature and the weariness that comes with team driving when you're driving roughly 10 to 11 hours a day. I was either eating a meal before my shift or after, sometimes, rarely both. Usually it would be I would eat some kind of meal, and basically anything I wanted. If it happened to be a fast food at a truck stop, I would eat a fast food at a truck stop. I've gotten very into Subway. Not the healthy ones. What I do is get whatever damn sub I want, but for the first time in my life, I'm actually eating a 6-inch for one meal rather than eating the full foot long every time. So like one meal a day, one full meal, and the other end of my shift, usually I was so tired. I have a bunch of kind of dry good type stuff up in the cabinet. It was usually like a hand or two full of nuts, mixed nuts, and maybe some beef jerky. If I was feeling ambitious, I'd fix a peanut butter and jelly, something like that. But like I said, one meal a day roughly, and maybe something like maybe a glorified snack at the other end. One thing I'm not doing, I'm guessing, it's my assertion, that I think a lot of people that get in trouble out here, yeah, it's the meals at the truck stop, but it's probably a lot of the snacking while you're driving. You're just kind of bored, and that automatic, just like I said, shark with the eyes rolled back, not even thinking, but you're down in a whole bunch of potato chips or whatever it is that you do. I'm not doing that. Rarely am I eating during my shift, so it's just at those two ends, and so that ends up being maybe one big meal a day and maybe a little handful of snack. Disclaimer again, not saying it's the healthiest, but it's working. In TNT, I have lost 28 pounds as of the last time I weighed was at home time. So that's whatever it was a week or two ago. And I'm back on track now. Now, home time, all bets are off. We were celebrating that we were together, and it ended up being way too many times eating out. So, but whatever. As long as I bounce back, we enjoyed ourselves. I've told the family maybe next time I come, maybe curb some of that, but if you can bounce right back into your routine, it's not the end of the world. So that's where I am now. I went from 374 down to 332 as of home time, and I've lost some since then. Clothes hanging off me a little bit. Still a big guy. Listen, I got a long ways to go, but I can tell you, walking is pleasurable. I mean, I actually feel like my feet aren't touching the ground. I got a lot of weight still on me, but my legs are strong. I have zero back pain, not a little, zero back pain, no piriformis, no sciatica, My knees don't hurt. I don't know if I mentioned that. My knees used to, ache a lot and give me trouble. Zero pain. Zero. Which is just remarkable. So, like I said, I don't advocate this way, but and I'm going to have to adjust in my solo career. I'll have more access. My trainer's been great with space. He's given me a cabinet. I am allowed to use a refrigerator, but it's not my own space, and it's certainly not all my space. So my plan for the future is probably, I want to keep the salad a day kind of as my foundation for my daily diet. And around that, I'd like to get like deli meat sandwiches, but good deli meat. Deli meat that you look forward to eating, as opposed to an Arby's roast beef. But like really good shaved turkey and good bread and that kind of thing. So it's it's something you actually look forward to. Cereal. I'm big on cereal, so I'm planning to eat more during the day, but reasonable. And that's been the name of the game, has been moderation. That's the key. It's moderation, and just by virtue of this crazy schedule, it's just kind of all fallen in place where I'm losing weight rapidly. And I will say, and I kind of joke, I've come up with a new diet. It's this new fangled, it's going to make me billions of dollars. I've coined it the ELM diet, ELMM. It's revolutionary. It's eat less, move more. Go figure. Calorie deficit followed by move your ass. It works, folks. It really does. And I know everybody has their opinion on diets, and there are people that are religious about all the named diets in the world. And believe me, I'm not going to get in an argument with anybody. I have my opinion. I'm going to give it. You're not going to change my mind. But as a person who's heavy, and I will tell you that most people that are my size or bigger are better nutrition experts than the nutrition experts. They know how to lose weight. It's just a matter of white knuckling through it and that kind of thing. But we've also tried and failed at all the stupid named diets out there. And you can name any of them. Paleo, I've done just about all of them. Atkins, run it, Noom, whatever. Anything with a name to it. They do work short term. Because they all boil down to a calorie deficit, usually packaged in a way that appeals to the person losing weight. Oh, you mean I can eat nothing but bacon and lose weight? Yeah, you can. It's a calorie deficit, though. It all boils down to that. People gravitate to whichever diet contains the foods they really love, and they can just binge on that, and they feel like they're going to lose weight. And you will for a little while. But eventually you'll learn you can't live on that for the rest of your life. You've got to start something that you can live with forever. Tweaked a little bit here and there, but you also can't cut things you love from your diet. I'm not going to ever do a diet again that's cutting a bunch of different things. It's moderation. If you love cheesecake, have a damn cheesecake once in a while, but don't eat the whole cheesecake. Eat a slice and move on and get back on track. I think anything that's cutting, anything that you're counting, you're not going to stick with. So the simplest thing in the world is what everybody really knows, but they fool themselves into thinking that this thing or that thing is the new revolutionary thing. It's calorie deficit. It's eat less, moderation, and move your butt. It is as simple as that. But it's not easy. It's no easier than the others. You've got to be disciplined to do it. You've got to be ready. So anyway, that's the closest I'm going to come to advice. That's just my stance on dieting, and that's coming from years of failing. I ultimately realize it's all the same. It's just eat a little less, moderation, move your butt. And I'm finally kind of doing that. Maybe not in the healthiest way, maybe a little bit too extreme, I admit. But hey, this is adding years to my life. I'm moving again, which has been wonderful. That trip to Busch Gardens was amazing for me. I was on rides that I couldn't fit on before. I was riding rides with my kids. I could have walked the whole day without sitting. I didn't look at a bench the whole day. We sat, as normal people do, but it was not even in my mind. I did not need to sit at all. I could have kept going. We were rolling, and it was so nice. It was such a different experience than the last time I'd been to Busch Gardens. And my family felt it too, because they always had to wait. Dad has to stop every 100 yards to rest the sciatica for a second and get moving again. So it's been great. Again, long video, but I wanted to put something out for you. Hopefully y'all can take something from that. It is possible to lose weight out here. Just got to be a little disciplined and integrate it with a little bit of gastrointestinal, caution, I guess is the word, and you'll kill two birds with one stone. You'll lose weight, but you also won't have that dreaded poop story to talk about on YouTube. So anyway, I'm going to call it there, and we'll see you probably at Upgrade, I'm guessing. So be well, my friends. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.